Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pies Presser. I kind of want to discuss the Brody Mihocek conundrum. That's at the forefront of my mind. So I want to extend that conversation out to you guys tonight, along with the predicted 23 and the Hawthorn preview. It's time to talk all things black and white. Hello all. Good evening. Question, how are we all feeling today compared to yesterday? I feel like all of a sudden we're a bee's crotch away from the game against Hawthorn on Thursday night. What is it? Monday night. Tomorrow main training. Wednesday moving the magnets, and then it's game day. So that is the silver lining in your otherwise dour Monday, right? That's what I would assume. Now, you've seen the thumbnail. We're definitely going to talk about Brody Mihocek. But the other thing that's on top of my mind as well is I just want to keep an eye on the Collingwood website, because we're probably not going to see an injury report, but that's fine. We do pretty well. We do pretty well with working around the fact that there's no injury report, and there were no obvious injuries, knock on wood, to come out of that game against the Lions. So I think we'll be pretty safe in the way we work with it. But as you guys know, it is quite simply a rolling 23 at this point, predicted 23. So today serves as the starting point. We'll get a vague idea of how we may or may not line up together, and then we go from there. Kuzi, welcome. Voidoid, welcome. Hello, Manny. Benny, how are ya? You got a contract proposal idea that people are gonna hate. Okay. When the show, all right, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I hope we're all well. Welcome RJ. Welcome Steve-O. Luke/Matthew. Melissa, how are you? They're writing us off already. I know that's guys. Are we really surprised though about the narrative? If you lose and you lose badly and you're on the top of the tree, it's going to happen. It just comes with it. It comes with being the top side all year, and we've had a little bit of a lull, and it's all warranted. It's all warranted. To be fair to the journos, guys, they're not saying, oh, Collingwood are not they're out of the premiership race. They've highlighted some valid concerns, to be fair. True? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? Let me know. Nicole, how are you? Rick, welcome. All right, so let me have a sip of this white chocolate. 50 calories of goodness, that is. So just let's talk about Brody Mihocek for a second. I want you guys to have some input. Mick, by the way, welcome. Sorry, I missed your comment. I do want to talk about this because from what we know and what we've heard, Brody Mihocek is at a stalemate with the Collingwood Football Club. A 1-year offer is tabled. There's whispers around that certain players, not so much the Steel Sidebottoms and the Pendleburys and the Howes of the world, but there are certain players that are a little bit disappointed in maybe the way their contract negotiations have trended. More specifically to do with people like Brody Mihocek and Darcy Cameron. That's what we heard from Sam Edmund on Saturday morning. Is where I think I heard that. And I wrote down a bunch of notes. I posted a video on it, but the live stream is different because we can actually interact and have a bit of dialogue. So maybe I missed some points that you guys want to bring up. But talking about Brody Mihocek, he's our most consistent player in the forward half, and his point of difference as a pseudo key tall forward is his pressure. Same thing with Tim Embry does it very well, but I think Mihocek does it to the nth degree. And then you pair in the fact that he averages a goal and half, 2 goals each season. He's been our leading goal kicker for many years. But the question is, why are we at a stalemate? Why are we only offering a year? Let me clarify, because I failed to do this for the video that I posted. Brody Mihocek age. He's 32. Brody Mihocek is 32 years old. He's been offered a year. Why are we offering him a year? So I've got down saving coin for Ben King ? So that seems pretty relevant. If we offer him anything beyond a year, 2 or 3 years, that's going to eat into the potential salary that we'd like to put forward to Ben King. So there's that. So there's are there other contracts that you can pinch from to accommodate for Ben King? I'm sure, but Brody Mihocek seemingly is probably one of those on the payroll. You go, all right, if he's 32, you're going to be 33 next year. What can we possibly do? What more can we squeeze out of Brody Mihocek without giving up too much for the future? And then the next question I wrote in my little journal was Charlie West and Noah Howe's ? So if Mihocek was to leave at the end of this year, what are our options? I think if he was to leave, we're probably not picking up a key position forward in the offseason. That's my guess. But can Charlie West be that Cal Shadia for Collingwood? Can Charlie West be the Logan Morris for Collingwood? Patrick Voss, who's had a really good season to a lesser extent compared to the two I just named. So, look, that is wishful thinking when we talk about Charlie West, especially Noah Howe's. And Murphs, you know what? That's a great point, because in the video I said the same thing. I prefaced that subsequent reflection. I said, is this because I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, guys, because I criticized St Kilda for giving up Tim Membry because they didn't want to give him a 2-year contract. They only offered him 1, whereas we were willing to do so. So I said, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, because then I just lose, in my eyes, I lose the credibility after that. So I said, hold on. What's the difference between St Kilda and Collingwood? St Kilda are quite young, much younger than Collingwood. So for them to give up experience didn't make sense to me. But if Mihocek was to be given up between... If Mihocek was to be given up, you'd say, well, we don't lose much experience because of the other players around his age that are still going to be at the club next year. So that is fundamentally the difference between the Tim Membry conversation and the Brody Mihocek conversation. The other thing, which Murphs has just mentioned, is what's the standard? What are the other players in his age bracket at the Collingwood Football Club accepting? They're accepting 350, 400 at 1 year. 1 year contracts. Like 350, 400 is peanuts. Scott Pendlebury still sidelined. They're playing, Jeremy, they're playing for nothing. They're playing for glory. They're playing for the betterment of the team. So if that's the standard, if that's what we're accepting, then Brody Mihocek has to adhere to these same guidelines. He's no better and deserves no more than what a Scott Pendlebury or a Steele Sidebottom would deserve. And the question is, does anybody deserve an extra year? Deserve. What does that mean? An extra year on top of your contract. I don't think deserve is definitely the right. It's just not the right perspective to have if you are Brody Mihocek and if that's the way he feels. Yes, he's done a lot for the club. Totally respect that. Love that. Love what he's done for the club. But in business, if you don't offer anything beyond the year mark, specifically talking about Collingwood, then why would Collingwood risk? There's too much risk there. There's too much risk. We do need to mitigate a bit of the risk that we have with all these older players. We can't just keep re-signing them all, and we certainly can't offer them more than a year. You've got to pass each year with flying colours to earn the next year. Simple as. All right, let's catch up to some of these comments. I feel like I got pretty much all my points out, and I'll see if you guys have any unique opinions. Mello says we gave him a chance to live out his dream when he was a mature age rookie. But it goes both ways, doesn't it? Without Collingwood picking him up in the rookie draft, maybe he never has an opportunity at AFL level. So maybe you can flip the script and say he kind of owes us. We gave him an opportunity that he may have never really had. Yes, skill and luck come together and get him to the Collingwood Football Club, but Collingwood would be arguing, "Hey mate, we've looked after you. Look at the career you have. Come on, mate. 1 year. Let's do 1 year little contracts from here on out." RJ says, "I think it's a wise move from the club and I back the decision. Love it." Yeah, Murph, surely if it's good enough for Pendles, it's good enough for Mihocek. I don't blame him for looking around. I don't blame him either. I just hope there's no discourse between Mihocek and the Collingwood Football Club. And I hope they're having responsible, mature conversations like grown men should. Love Checkers, but he's starting to get banged up. He's been pretty consistent. But last year he definitely had some issues, and this year he's had a couple soft tissues. He's been managed a couple times, but for the most part, he's been pretty available. Freddie, welcome, mate. I hope Mihocek gets a 2-year lucrative contract, but we should not be the one that gives it to him. There you go. So on that espresso, do you think he goes to say, I was thinking off the top of my head, if there's two clubs that should be calling Mihocek's name, I think it would be Sydney and Melbourne. Off the top of my head, I mean, I can have a look at let's have a look at the teams around. I'm sure you wouldn't want to go to Perth, so I don't think like West Coast would be an option. Hawthorn, no. Richmond, no. Gold Coast, no. Brisbane, no. Brisbane, maybe. Nah. St Kilda, no. St Kilda, why not? Nah. No, if they got rid of Membry, they're not going to bring back it just makes zero sense. North Melbourne, no. Geelong, no. Port Adelaide, no. To me, it's Sydney or Melbourne. Luke says 1 year is fair. The only thing we can offer is clause that triggers it. So I don't mind that, a trigger clause, but you still run the risk of having him on for an extra year. Especially, and then you have to factor in, well, what if we do get a Ben King? What if Charlie West comes out and announces himself to the league? We're gonna have him on a year where he's triggered a clause for an extra year, where he may not even play that year, and that's a lot of wasted money. And I don't think we don't want to waste money when we're trying to make the most out of our payroll, our salary. Peter G says, however, by the time King comes along to the Pies, Pendles, Howie, Cox, Mitchell, and maybe Sidebottom won't be playing salary, won't be a part of the salary cap. It shouldn't be a concern. I mean, we're only guessing, but bear in mind these guys, Pendles, Howie, Coxie, Mitchell, Sidebottom, are all on peanuts anyways. I think Mihocek wants a more lucrative contract offer at 2 years. And there's going to be other younger players who are going to be, in a couple years' time, who'll be asking for a little bit more. Like if we have a look, we'll have a look at that. We'll look at the contracts. We have a lot of players out of contract. Collingwood this year, but I'm wondering in 2026 who's out of contract. I need to reset this, I believe. Yes. So if we go, I'm not so much concerned about who next year will be asking for a contract extension at Collingwood. So we've got to look up. We're going to have to look after Charlie West. Darcy Cameron, if he stays, he's got to get a bag. Jack Crisp, you're going to have to give him some extra. Tim Membry, maybe. What about 2027 though? Because remember, yes, people's contracts might expire in 2027, but maybe we extend them in 2026. You got Bo McCreary, who's certainly going to be paid well. McStay, question mark. DeGoey, question mark. Lockie Schultz, probably. Ned Long, not too sure. Lipinski should. We don't know where Oscar Steen will be at this point. Reef McInnes could have a good year next year and warrant another contract extension. TJ's been riddled with injuries this year. So a lot of things to go through before we can assume that just because Pendlebury, Howie, Cox, Mitchell, and Sidebottom could be retiring means it makes space for Mihocek on the payroll. Is Jordan De Goey going to play on Thursday night off a five-day break? Jade Ways says, be cautious, manage to go. We've seen this song book all year. I will say, Mark, that we've come to a point in time this season where we have no choice but to play De Goey now. He needs 3, 4, 5 games of consistent AFL footy going into the final series. You can't chuck a Jordan De Goey out there and just hope that he is going to be the Jordan De Goey we want him to be in 2020. He won't be that guy. But you know what we're doing? By giving Jordan De Goey a chance over the next few games, it means we could get 80% of the Jordan De Goey from the 2023 season and final series. That's what we're hoping for by playing him consistently. Maybe he is the sub for this game, which we'll do the predicted 23 shortly, so bear with me. We will do that. The only difference is, we've gone through that. Give 1 year and performance triggers. I mean, geez, if he's kicking 50 goals, that would be a unbelievable return. I don't disparage Broads from getting a nice chunk of money from another club for his retirement fund. Most of you guys are okay with a big contract for Mihocek, so long as it is at another club. Mihocek not winning 1-on-1s in the big game, still a very good forward, no doubt. Pendles has a house worth 15 million. Checkers has never been paid. It is what it is. We can't offer him a contract based on the past. We have to offer him a contract based on what we think we need in the club and what we think we can get out of Brody Mihocek over the next 2 years. We're happy to offer him 12 months, but what does it look like after that? We don't know, which is why we're mitigating risk with this conversation. Mihocek will go to Sydney. I hope Brody stays, though. He's been mega. Love him, mate. He's the best defensive key forward I've seen at the Collingwood Football Club. Checkers will be 33 by the start of next season, so a 1 year deal is normal for that age. 1 year with a trigger, 60 goals and 20 games played, Manny, you're dreaming, bro. If you think he's going to kick 3 goals a game and play 20 games next year, come on, bro. That's the most unrealistic contract clause I've heard come out of your mouth, my friend. Guys, I am like 8 minutes behind the comments, so I'm trying to get through them to catch up. Give me one moment. Our forward line looks overstacked at the moment. We need defense. Well, I think, you know, guys, the other issue with having, when things don't go well for our side, we submit to playing long down the line too much, and we've got too much confidence trying to find Mihocek, McStay, Membry, Darcy Cameron down the line and have these contested marks bail us out. I said it in the post-game show. We were too submissive in the fourth quarter, in that whole second half. When we had a chance to go, I'm not saying we have to go through the corridor like we used to all the time, handballs and breaking lines with short 45 kicks into the middle. I'm not saying do that all the time, but mix it up. We've become too predictable. Brody battles hard, reliable and good for 1 to 2 a game, but we are playing it safe, holding on to what we know instead of trying to take a risk to leap forward with it. Yep, agreed. Goodness, guys, so many comments, far out. It's hard to keep up. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. I'm going to have to... Darcy Cameron should be our priority. I'll just read out a couple. I'm sorry, guys. If you really want me to respond, just put it in the comments again, in the chat again, and I'll try. It's getting harder and harder. Benny, here he is. Big bucks, $20. Thanks, brother. Love how amazing player Den of the year say either retires or goes to struggling club on good coin. We use the money he would have got to top up the Silvani offer to 800k-ish to get more time out of a quality back. Oh, don't put that out there, Benny. I want to see Big Jez remain at the club. Look, if we win the flag, does that... The question is... So there's been conversations about all these elder players, the geriatrics, some will say, to put it bluntly. There's talks of, all right, let's give them a year. They want to play on for another year. But what happens if we win the flag again? Will they want to play another year, or is that it? Are they content with winning 2-3 flags in their career? Talking about Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Howe, Elliott, Tom Mitchell, Will Hoskin, Elliott. I'm just curious. Will they change their mindset, or will we get contract extensions? Will we get contract extensions before we get to the final series? That's another interesting one. But I think Howe plays on. I'd like to think. Billy wants 2 years as well, which he should get. Do you want Checkers or Elliott if it came to... Oh, good question. Peter, I think it's Jamie Elliott. I was going to say good question, but I think Jamie Elliott is just... He's so dynamic. He's clutch. He's relatively accurate in front of goal. Good pressure. Yeah, he's definitely... If you guys, let's be honest, let's be real. Jamie Elliott is... You're definitely taking Jamie Elliott over Brody Mihocek. Howe is getting offered a 1-year deal with the opportunity to move into a coaching role at the club. That's right. So, Ben, there you go. Peter G right there. That's giving us some solace in knowing that while Howie might not be getting much of a pay in his next contract, at least he has the guarantee of transitioning into a coaching role at the club. So, hopefully that's enough for him. Do people forget Checkers has been injured the last couple of years on 4 separate occasions? I did just mention that. Look, the one against Gold Coast where he tore his pec muscle was unfortunate, wasn't it? This year he's been managed more than anything. Was it hamstring last year at some point? Was it hamstring this year as well? Pay Jamie Elliott whatever he wants. We should be talking about losing Darcy Cameron. Why aren't we? We are, tonight we're focusing on Mihocek, mate. We are focusing on Mihocek. I think Darcy Cameron's had. There's been a lot of commentary around Darcy Cameron all year. So what are we going to do? Beat a dead horse? Mihocek is kind of fresh. It's a fresher conversation, isn't it? Do we use Checkers in a Petrarca trade? So Checkers, his contract ends this year, Matthew. So we wouldn't be able to trade him unless he extends the contract and then we trade him, which makes absolute 0 sense. For now, for me, we never solved the defensive issue since the preseason. We weren't sold on Reef and Frampton as a second tall defender. Must prioritise a key defender for next season. Well, the good thing is, Stefanos, is it seems like we're in the market for Jack Silvani. By the way, curious. So Fly discloses he catches up with Jack Silvani, and he openly admits that in the pre-game press conference after or leading into Brisbane. Do you think did Silvani say, hey, mate, just by the way, if the media asks, please don't tell them we're talking? Or has Silvani said, mate, I could care less. If anybody asks, full disclosure, tell them I'm keen on coming to the Collingwood Football Club to rub it into Carlton or maybe raise his value. I don't know. What's the play there? Fly's not stupid. He's not just going to... he's very careful with what he says, and he won't talk shit. He won't say something that would put somebody in an undesirable position. So there must have been that communicated for sure. He's not. Come on. You reckon Mihocek at Melbourne will happen, Mark? Question, what move would be better? Perryman into the centre. I think Perryman in the middle is good. Sorry, not in the middle. Perryman in the back line is good. And Houston to the wing, maybe. I'm probably of the opinion that Houston needs to stay in the back line, and we just find out whether he bounces, finds some sort of form going into the final series. All right, trying to catch up to the comments again. Okay, you guys are cooking tonight. Any updates on the injury front? Let's have a look. Probably no injury report, but we'll do the predicted 23. Guys, give us a W in the chat if you're ready for the predicted 23. If you want to get through that together. No injury report, so it's going to come down to us putting 2 and 2 together. David Zeta on AFL tonight. It's D-Day for Jeremy Howe, as tomorrow is Collingwood's main session, as it is aimed to return to full training, and that's where we get a clear indication when Craig McRae holds his press conference about his availability, and Billy Frampton got through the VFL, and he will be considered for selection as well. Okay, so that gives us something. All right, you guys are all ready for the predicted 23. All right, then. Here we go. Hold on. Let me get this voice ready. All right. Come on. Energy. Come on. Huh? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to... We won't start like that though, will we? Come on, Cass. Hey, switch on. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the predicted 23 for the do or die clash between the Pies and the Hawks. No injury report, but we have a fair idea of what we should expect as far as availability is concerned, given that everybody got through the game unscathed. Knock on wood, there aren't any late developments. Tomorrow being main training, we need to see if the likes of Jeremy Howe gets through main training, as reported by David Zeta says that is the big test room, and makes sense. There's only one big session this week, considering we've had we are now having the Saturday to the Thursday. We're pretty much left with one session to see if Jeremy Howe can get through the session and bounce back well. Delete Dean's. People were saying in the chat, throw Dean's name out forever. Delete it, they say. Where is he? He's here. Here you go, guys. I won't delete it. Come on, let's go easy. Go easy. We know he's out. So look, I don't usually do the out straight away, but he's a no-brainer. So we'll put him there straight away. Okay. Darcy Moore, I'm telling you, I think people are starting, the tide is turning right now. I think some people were starting to see where I've been coming from ever since King's birthday. He's just a little bit too inconsistent for mine. And when he's bad, he's bad. But when he's good, he's good. Quaynor. So our medium-sized defenders, in my opinion, really, really did a lot for us against Brisbane. And if it weren't for them, we would have been in a big trouble. So that's a thanks to Quaynor, Perryman, Braden Maynard was huge. Do you guys remember that effort in the second quarter? What else do we have? It was that second quarter against Charlie Cameron. You guys, if you guys haven't seen it, there's a reel on Instagram that I posted today at pies_footy. Houston. I know there's going to be some conjecture around this name. As I've been saying, we just have to persist with this name, with this magnet. If it's a fail, it's a fail. But I'm willing to run this risk. I mean, who else do we have once we bring everyone else in? So Frampton will be in hopefully. Josh Stakos, maybe we just put Pez here. Like once we we sort out this defense, they're really. I promise you, there's not a myriad of options. We've got Cochrane, who's not ready. We've got Ryan and Jath, who are both out for the season. Will Parker would be way more defensively, would be much more of a defensive liability than Houston. So I just don't see that being an option. We just have to persist. The only other alternative would be this. Markov switches from the forward line. God knows why he was playing there in the first place. That was one of those ones before the game where I go, what are we doing with Markov, man? Like, he's a defender. He's a defender. So, yeah, that's the alternative. So that's why I leave that as is. Jeremy Howe, welcome back, son. We said Billy Frampton in as well. As long as this guy gets through training tomorrow, that would be greatly appreciated, Jezza. Go easy. Jack Crisp stays, holds. Apparently he's been down on form in the last few weeks. A lot of our numbers are down in the last few weeks, but you have to remember we've played some great quality sides and we've lost them by small margins for the most part. Let's go. Steel Sidebottom 350, huge. Sidey 350. Expecting a big game from him. DeGoey, wasn't he? He was good. He was good against Brisbane. Just, you know what? Question, chat. Sub or start? I'll leave him here for a second. Sub or start? After playing 60 minutes against Brisbane, is he a sub or is he a start against Hawthorn? I think he starts, but I wouldn't be mad at this. You tell me. Pendlebury, obvious. DC. Nick Dacos. Now, if this whole Dan Houston and Josh Dacos thing doesn't really work with the way we're moving the ball out of our back half, maybe we can expect this. Give me one moment. Where'd I put the Bruz one? Here he is. What if we did something like this? Start. DeGoey start. DeGoey sub. Starting DeGoat. What if we did this like we did against Richmond? Why can't we see this? We didn't see this at all. We hardly saw this on the weekend. Nick Dacos played more of a forward half game. When he wasn't in the midfield, he was in the forward line. Why can't we see this a little bit more? It's worked well. True? Thoughts in the chat? Did this not work well when we played it? I know it's against Richmond, but what about that? Was it Fremantle as well? Did he play in the back line a little bit? You tell me. Benny Zero, thanks to the two. Don't muck around. To go, he starts. We know it. I was teasing you specifically, mate. Anyhow, look, I'll leave this here for a second, just so you guys can let this settle in and understand that this is probably something we need to see a little bit more if we're going to struggle to move the ball. Forward line. All right, so the forward line, while there wasn't a lot of good service for them on the weekend, I felt like they were still a little bit fumbly. I think McCreary's still a week away. I think we see him for the game against Adelaide. Bobby Hill must start. Thank you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. McStay, is he a victim of the way he's been thrown around by Fly, playing in the back line when Darcy Moore needs to rest, playing in the ruck, playing in the forward line? Like how difficult must it be for him for McStay to get a grasp on the game? That's my concern with that. Just sometimes, I think it was Voidoid who said it in the post game. He said, "Is the system affecting certain players?" And maybe that's not the best way to frame it. I would say, don't be too confident in your system to the point where you're putting Markov in the forward line and you're throwing McStay in 3 different positions in the space of one game. So let's be real. Like, system is good, but you've got to be smart with the way you're deploying players throughout the games and what it could do for their confidence in a bad way. Billy, as in Jamie Elliott, Shooter's had a great season. I just wish he hadn't had a few of those injuries and concussions, but he's here, he's available, he's been good, and that's all we can ask from Shooter. Welcome back, Tom Mitchell. I don't think anybody's going to have any dramas with seeing Tom Mitchell. We saw Ned Long by himself against Brisbane in a crunch time game. He's been much quieter than usual, Ned Long. Tom Mitchell resting on his laurels with those coaches' votes, and I think he comes back in, straight back in, and we find out. It's not ideal that we're still experimenting, but it is what it is. I just don't know if we can take a young Ned Long into the side when we have Tom Mitchell there, just begging to be played again. So that's another out. So that's two changes, unforced changes we call them, don't we? If it's an omission. Who else do we need to consider here? Get him in. Who else? Does Ed Allen, guys? Do we see Ed Allen? I'll put him here for a second. I'll put Ed Allen here. Oh, I'm an idiot. That's the wrong Steele. That's Rowan Steele. This is the sidey we want. My apologies. Is there anybody? And Lipinski. So then does this happen? Guys, was Markov really that bad on the weekend? Like, I saw he made some questionable decisions on the ground, but when I got home and did the post-game show, you guys were adamant that we never see him wear the black and white ever again. Like, was he that bad? Was Markov that bad? Let me know in the chat. No Allen? No Allen. So what's the alternative? No to Allen. I don't rate Allen. Remove Allen. Jeez. Okay. So what? Then that leaves us with... all right, well, in that case... Oh, we have Will Hoskin-Elliott. I'll put him here. These are our options for the sub. Will Hoskin-Elliott. Will Parker. And let's say... We'll put Dimitier in the fourth in line. All right, there you go. Hyphen. Markov wasn't that bad, just doesn't fit into the team anymore. Hoskin-Elliott. Hosk sub. Okay. All right, W's if we're happy with that. That's 3 changes, yeah? So I'll put the greens. W's if we're happy. W's in the chat. Are we happy with this potential team? You have a bad feeling that they're going to play Dean again? 0 chance. 0 chance. We will riot at the AIA Vitality Centre if we see that. W's. That's it. That's all she wrote. Bob's your uncle. Best sub in the comp. There's a lot of Hoskin-Elliott love as a sub. DeGoey starts. And Markov sub this week? No, Mark. W. Good. Happy days. All right, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. You heard it. Chat is happy with that. We'll settle with that as the rolling predictor 23 for now. As you know, we make slight adjustments as we hear more throughout the week, as we get through training, as we get the injury report tomorrow, we'll know a little bit more. And until next time, go Pies. All right. That is the recording. I'll leave this up for a little bit. Who comes out for Bo McCreary the next week? Okay. Well, who would come out for McCreary the next week? I would say we could see this. Would it just be a straight swap? Or do we need to see how Tom Mitchell goes? How maybe... I don't know. I think I don't know if there's anyone else that would be dropped. Is it that? That's the potential side we could be going into against Adelaide if McCreary is healthy. Is that fair? Yeah, Hoskin-Elliott, hyphen. Yeah, that's why I had Dimitier fourth in line. I think he's someone we save for next year. Give Parker or Dimitier a go. Swap Lipper as sub. Yeah, sorry. So are we once again going to be conservative when McCreary comes back and have him as the sub? Given he's done his hamstring twice now this year. Otherwise, if there's no fear in relapse, then I can see this. Yes, I can see that happening. True. But depends. It depends how Tom Mitchell goes as well. But I'll leave this. You guys get confused very quickly. And you go, oh, McCreary's not available this week. And then for the people who are coming in late, Will Hoskin Elliott. So that's, could be potentially be Tom Mitchell out for McCreary next week, but we'll see. So fingers crossed that Jeremy Howe gets through training. I didn't see a whole lot of him last week at training. It's pretty conservative, but maybe he's done a good amount of conditioning over the weekend. So who's on watch, guys? Let's do this. Let's add an extra dimension to this. Who's on watch? Sean, hi mate, love you. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you for being here. Who's on watch? Let's go. Let's make the color orange. Orange if they're a watch. Who's on watch? Is that a bit harsh on Lipinski to be a watch? You tell me. I think Will Hoskin Elliott's a little bit is always a bit of a watch. That looks ugly. That looks horrible, but we're gonna have to deal with that. Who else is on watch? Houston's on watch, but he's not gonna get dropped. Like, that's the reality. If you guys really want me to make this orange, I will. Darcy Moore's not going to get dropped. Like, you guys want me to... Guys, you can tell me in the chat. Mate, all right, let's just talk about who's down on form. What about that? Let's do this. Who's down on form? If they're down on form, they're orange. If they're down on form, they're orange. Is that fair? Is there anyone else you'd want to make orange? I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think anyone else should be on orange. Lipper is not a watch. Some people are saying Lipper's watch. Manny, you drop Darcy Moore. Mate, you'd drop his kid if you had him in your hands, mate. I'm not taking your opinion. Manny Malaka. When he was out, y'all was saying we missed him. Voido, come on, let's be real. He hasn't been great the last couple of weeks, so he's on form watch. I'm not saying he's going to get dropped watch, but he hasn't been great. As to Darcy Moore should be red. There are many players who won't get dropped, but they are just down on form. And those are the players that I think are down on form. Moore, Lipinski, Jamie Elliott's down on form. Fair. Be fair to say he's a bit down on form. If you notice something, it's the system players that really struggle when we're down on form. It's the system players. Darcy Moore, system. Houston, Crisp, system. Lipinski, system. Hoskin Elliott, system. McStay, system. Jamie Elliott probably has enough firepower to be a great forward without the system humming. I felt like he had many opportunities against Brisbane where he just dropped the mark, fumbled here and there. Mihocek down on form. Is that fair? Guys, is that fair if I do this? Somebody who said... Your local Espresso said Mihocek down on form, can't mark an outlet. He's kicked 2 and 2, hasn't he? He kicked 2 goals against Fremantle. He kicked 2 goals against Richmond and kicked 1 against Brisbane, didn't he? There's a lot of players down on form. A few spot fires, to say the least. Where's the goey? He's here. He's right there, Jesse. Don't stress. Yeah, we're not. Darcy Moore's not getting dropped. Let's just be clear on that. Houston, I don't mind that. I just don't know. Can Houston play wing? That's all. I just don't know if Houston can actually play wing. I don't mind that. That's our 2023 halfback flankers. I don't mind that. I'm okay with that. But I'm not sure if Houston can actually play wing. What are your thoughts? Can he play wing? To be honest, I genuinely think Crisp, his best position, first and foremost, is on ball. His second best position is halfback flank. And I actually think his playing on the wing is his third position. I don't know why we don't see him in the back line more, and I don't know why we don't see him in the midfield more. He's a bit sluggish, Houston. Watching him during the games, he just doesn't run on top of the ground. So I don't know if that's a good fit for a winger. Wingers have to be bloody on, running up and down, shuttle runs all day long. Put Daykai both as permanent mids, and then Dan the loose go-to man coming out of defense. I'm not saying wing all game, but they can't swap at times. They can swap at times, I think you meant to say. Yeah, I mean, Josh, like obviously Houston's kicking is great and would be really handy on the wing. Question is, does he have the running capacity of Patrick Lipinski? Does he have the running capacity of Steel Sidebottom? Does he have the running capacity of Jack Crisp? I just don't know. He can play mid. He barely did it. Bro, Manny, go check the stats. He barely played midfield at Port. Barely. I'm not putting him in our midfield. Here to be proven wrong. What do I know? But still. Coaching staff on watch. Oh, goodness. Does he have the stamina? That's the question. They need to try something. Yeah, so maybe they give him a quarter on the wing and see how that goes. Remember when Isaac Quaynor was struggling last year and they threw him on a wing against Essendon and Gold Coast? That worked, kind of. So maybe you can do the same thing, but the difference is Quaynor is an absolute beast. Matthew, Jamie Elliott averages 3.8 goals a game without McStay playing and 2.1 when McStay is playing and McStay is not contributing on the scoreboard. How many games is that? That 3.8 average, is it just like 2 or 3 games? Because that's quite a small sample size, so you're not comparing apples with apples. If it's 7 games with and 7 games without, that's more of a fair reference. Surely we actually play on Guinea this time. That's crazy, wasn't it? What do you have, like 30-2 against us? How is Allen not in contention? Mate, I put Allen's name here. I put Ed Allen's name right here. And everybody was up in arms. There was an uproar in the chat. I could hear it. Where did I put him? Anyways, where is he? Did I delete his name or something? Guys, I think you guys made me panic. Oh, no, I didn't. He's here. So, yeah, I put his name in the starting 23, but no one wanted Ed Allen. No to Allen. You guys are saying he rotated through the midfield at Port a lot. Guys, I think he played like 5 or 6 games in the midfield in 2021. I've shown you this before, guys. I've shown you the stats. Okay, so Jamie without McStay, 23 goals from 6 games. With McStay, 25 goals from 15 games. But McStay spends quite a bit of time in the ruck and now also in the back line. So is it a Jamie Elliott problem or is Dan McStay getting in the way of Jamie Elliott? I think it's like, you watched Matthew. Look at Jamie Elliott's last couple weeks. He's been fumbly. He's not taking as many marks. He's not being as clean as he has been early this season. So I think it's more of a Jamie Elliott problem than what's around him. It's a McStay problem, says Badri. Don't think Allen played VFL last week, so must have been rested for Thursday with Titch. Did Allen not play on Saturday, guys? Did he not play in the VFL? McStay's cheeks. Membry can play second ruck. Is anybody else saying it's a McStay problem? McStay problem, Mixtape says. GWS did with Cornelio. That's when they were going horribly in, was it 2020? Off the back of the grand final. Yeah, I don't think they dropped Darcy Moore. No chance. Houston needs a circuit breaker type decision from coaches to break the stagnancy. I think the three... Look, there's no denying, Dom, that the three big M's are letting us... or they are leading us to submitting to the long kick down the line too often. Early days this season it worked, but guess what? When you have that corresponding fixture with the teams that you punished, they research you. Why are these guys at 12-2, 13-2? Okay, well, they're playing this way. How can we nullify that? And they've done that. And then we weren't able to adjust in the game. It was so obvious. Like, we just weren't really able to play through the corridor. And we were too boundary side happy. And sometimes it's just like, who's going to have the balls to pull the trigger off the half-back flank? Dane Zorko and Hugh McCluggage did that for Brisbane on Saturday. They don't hesitate in pulling the trigger. And to be fair, Collingwood, they have that. Braden Maynard's got big balls. Nick Dacos can do that. Scott Pendlebury can do that. Dan Houston needs to do that. He can do that. He's just devoid of confidence right now. McStay's useless, says Bailey. Blowtorch has to be Dan McStay this week. Goodness. What is orange? Orange hue is... we tried to highlight players who are just down on form. It's Sidey's 350th. He ain't getting dropped. Who said he's getting dropped? I didn't say that. Yeah, and when you just kick long down the line all the time against a side that has one certain Harris Andrews in, he'd be licking his lips. He's like, oh, this is easy. This is like plucking out daisies from the soccer field. Headline, guess who's back? Dacos on the front cover. Dan McStay has kicked 2 goals in his last 7 games. That's poor. Yeah, it's not ideal. We do need to win 2 games. It's not looking pretty. And you know what? We'll be if we win against Hawthorn, we'll be breathing a massive sigh of relief. I'll tell you that much, because you don't want to be going into the game against Adelaide and Melbourne needing to win both those games. Hashtag McStay in the VFL. Damn. See, guys, like it's also what flies how the coaches are using McStay. There is that as well, yeah. McStay doesn't play in one position. He plays in 2 or 3 positions, different positions every game. That can't be good for the continuity of establishing yourself. Will the Pies stay in the top 4? Blue Bagger? No, this is the reality we're staring at right now, Blue Bagger. If we don't win 2 games out of the next 3, we will not be. There's every chance we won't be in the top 4. That's what we're talking about right now. That's how real it is. Can we make top 4? Yes. But all it takes is us to lose against Hawthorn, and then we're fighting an uphill battle. We'll be on McStay watch next week, says Badri. Damn. All right, it's been fun, guys. I'm going to go post this Predicted 23. We'll see you tomorrow for the Pies Footy Show. So Pies Footy Show, it's pretty much going to be a fan forum. So jump on, get the fan cams going, have your say, and then Wednesday we'll be moving the magnets, and then Thursday's game day. And I'm going to be streaming every day. I'm going to try stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to try stream 6-7 days a week now. I feel like I've found a rhythm now, and we've got some really good, healthy conversations going on in the chat. So it's easy for me to jump on, and it's literally just having a chat with you guys. It's so easy. So why not just, if I can afford the time, and I'm going to do it. So until tomorrow, guys, go Pies.